For the first time in history, scientists have confirmed it. A bacteria is now immune to every single drug we have. Here's what that means for your next 24 hours. You might be picturing sirens, chaos, the world grinding to a halt. But the terrifying truth is that the end of the world doesn't announce itself. It arrives in perfect silence. Because for the first few hours, absolutely nothing changes. The world spins on. People go to work, make coffee, and get paper cuts. Let's meet Kale. He's in his workshop, tinkering with an old engine, and a sliver of metal slices his finger. Annoying, but insignificant. He washes it, puts on a bandage, and forgets about it. In our world, that's the end of the story. In this new world, it's the beginning of the end of his. Because the first place the apocalypse arrives isn't in our cities, but in our hospitals. Within 24 hours, they become cathedrals of despair. That routine knee replacement, it's now a death sentence. The bacteria on the patient's own skin, which the surgery bypasses, can now rage unchecked. Sepsis, a condition we learned to manage, becomes an unstoppable, agonizing killer. The pillars of modern medicine, surgery, childbirth, and chemotherapy don't just get harder, they crumble into dust. Cancer patients, their immune systems already weakened, are now defenseless against the most common infections. A simple sinus infection becomes a brain abscess. Organ transplants? Impossible. The immunosuppressant drugs required are an open invitation for a bacterial onslaught. The sterile, controlled environments of our operating rooms become elaborate traps. But this catastrophe doesn't stay confined to the sick. It comes for everyone. By the end of the first week, Kale's finger is no longer just a cut. It's a throbbing red beacon of pain. The redness isn't staying put. It's creeping up his hand in angry, spider-like veins. He has a fever he can't shake. The Staphylococcus bacteria, once a harmless passenger on his skin, is now colonizing his body. And there isn't a single drug on the planet that can stop it. We take for granted that the simple infections of life are treatable. Strep throat, a urinary tract infection, a child's earache. These would now escalate with terrifying speed. A sore throat could progress to rheumatic fever, damaging the heart. A UTI could ascend to the kidneys, causing total organ failure. The global death toll wouldn't be a sudden spike. It would be a relentless, ever-steepening climb. Mortality from minor injuries would skyrocket, giving a simple fall in the park the same odds of survival as playing Russian roulette. But if you think this means we'd just revert to a 19th century level of medicine, you'd be wrong. It would be infinitely worse. Why? Because we've built a world entirely dependent on the safety net of antibiotics. Our cities are the perfect incubators. We live packed together, millions of us, sharing air, surfaces, and transportation systems. An antibiotic-resistant strain of tuberculosis or pneumonia would sweep through a subway car like a phantom, invisible and unstoppable. Our globalized world, our greatest strength, becomes our most profound weakness. A new, hyper-virulent bacterial strain in one city could be in every major airport on Earth within 48 hours. Within the first year, the very fabric of society begins to unravel. It's not the dramatic collapse you see in movies. It's a slow, grinding halt caused by millions of individual tragedies. Factory workers get small cuts on the assembly line and die a week later. Long-haul truck drivers develop infections and can no longer deliver food. The supply chain doesn't break, it bleeds out. Supermarket shelves go bare, not because of panic buying, but because the system that stocks them is hemorrhaging people. We check back in with Kale. His body, through sheer luck and a ferocious immune response, fought off the initial infection. He survived, but he carries a deep, disfiguring scar on his arm, a permanent reminder of his victory. The world he survived into is one of fear. The greatest threat is no longer the infection itself, but other people. Every cough, every handshake is a potential death sentence. Trust evaporates. Communities turn inward, becoming suspicious fortresses. The air itself would begin to change. The smell of our cities would transform. The familiar sense of traffic and food would be slowly replaced by something else. The sweet, metallic scent of decay as sanitation systems fail and unchecked infections become commonplace. And the consequences extend far beyond us. Think about our food. The entire industry of modern agriculture is built on antibiotics. We use them to keep livestock healthy in crowded conditions. Without them, diseases would tear through herds of cattle, flocks of chickens. A single infected animal could wipe out an entire farm. The result is a catastrophic collapse of the world's protein supply. Starvation would become as great a killer as infection. It would be an apocalypse of germs, hunger, and silence. Decades pass. Humanity endures, as it always does. But our numbers are a fraction of what they once were. The survivors live in smaller, more isolated communities. The great glittering cities of the 21st century are silent tombs, too dangerous to inhabit. Life expectancy has plummeted to perhaps 40 years. Childhood is the most dangerous time of all, with infant mortality returning to the horrifying levels of the medieval era. Humanity would be thrown back into a dark age, but a dark age with the ghosts of a golden one. All around us, we'd have the inert technology, the silent iPhones and powerless data centers, monuments to a time when we thought we had conquered nature. But human ingenuity wouldn't just die. In hidden labs and fortified universities, a new kind of science would be born from the ashes of the old. The focus wouldn't be on creating new chemical antibiotics. We tried that, and the bacteria out-evolved us. Instead, we would turn to their natural enemies. Researchers would hunt for bacteriophages, viruses that infect and kill specific bacteria. Phage therapy, a niche science in our time, would become the new frontier, a desperate search for biological assassins to target our microscopic foes. We would scour the deepest oceans and the most remote rainforests, searching for plants or fungi that produce novel antimicrobial compounds. We would have to learn, with painstaking effort, to once again borrow our defenses from the natural world. Kale is an old man now, a revered elder in his small walled village. He teaches the children things that seem like strange rituals. How to properly clean a wound, not with miracle creams, but with boiled water and herbal poultices. Why you never, ever drink from the river downstream of another settlement. He tells them stories of the before times, of a world where a doctor could give you a tiny pill that made you invincible. The children listen with wide eyes, as if he's describing a world of magic, and in a way, he is. The great lesson of this silent apocalypse isn't about the power of bacteria, it's about the fragility of human dominance. Antibiotics were never a declaration of victory. They were a temporary ceasefire, a 100-year truce in a war that has been raging for millennia. We got comfortable. We got arrogant. We used our miracle weapons so recklessly that we armed our ancient enemy for the battle to come. We didn't lose a war against bacteria. We simply forgot. We were never the ones in charge.